Där. Då borde vi komma in när som helst. Finemang. Okej. Jag lovade ju att jag skulle göra det här. Varför lovade jag det? Jag vet inte. Jag var väl vad ska vi säga? Påverkad av stuff. Inte det ord jag... Skitsamma. Har ingenting med saken att göra. Så ska vi se här. Ska vi se, vi borde ha någon i... Ja. Den kommer väl uppdateras väldigt snart där. Ska vi se. Jag måste tillbaka dit. Så ja, grymt. Okej. Här har vi den, the one and only, va? Ja, Linnea, du har ju läst den här redan. Så du vet ju vad jag har att vänta. Jag har inte fullt lika bra koll, men en viss nivå. Och jag vet inte riktigt vad mer... Alltså, tanken på det här var mycket lättare än att faktiskt sitta här och liksom veta att okej, jag är beredd och ska öppna det här. Men innan vi gör så tänkte jag... Ja, vi får se. Är det här för mycket så får ni säga till. Men måste hitta rätt här. Okej. Dragonfall av Katie McAllister. Så, Chapter 1. Arvidsjaur, Center for the Bewildered. Entrance interview conducted by Dr. Cara Barlind. English translation. Dr. Barlind's note. The following is the interview held at the admission of patient A upon signs of schizophrenia were demonstrated, and the reluctance by patient A to admit that her story more resembled a fantastical movie than real life. She expressed a great desire to tell her story, however, which was encouraged... Wow, väldigt mycket komman här. Okay. Men however, which was encouraged and which we hope will facilitate recovery. Good afternoon, Miss A. How are you feeling? I've been better. And really, this ska bråka på en gång. And my name is Aufi, not Miss A. It's Irish, and pronounced Ifu. Oh, Aifu. Okay. My apologies, Aifu. Some patients choose to be anonymous in our reports, but I will make a note of your preference. Would you like to tell us what happened that made your brother and sister decide you needed our care? I'd rather not think about it. But I suppose if anyone is going to do anything about it, then I'll have to tell you what happened last night. It was last night, wasn't it? The patient exhibits signs of distress and was reassured that the triggering event had occurred the past evening. Okay, good. I thought I'd lost some time there too. Den här Katie är verkligen kär i överanvändandet av komma. Ser du, på 3 ord är det 3 komman direkt efter varandra där. Okay, good. I thought I'd lost some time there, too, which, let me tell you, isn't as freaky as it sounds. Where should I start? Wherever you are comfortable beginning. I guess it all started with the date. I had no idea that anything weird was going to happen. I mean, Terrin looked perfectly normal. He certainly didn't seem like the type of man who could die and resurrect himself at will. A plus writing. Patient A shuddered again and rubbed her eyes as if wishing to remove mental images, but ceased before self-harming. Why don't you start with your date with this man, then? Yeah, the date. It started all right. Nothing fantastic, but pleasant enough. Nu skulle jag starta musiken istället. Som sagt, om den stör, det är bara att säga till. Jag känner att det skulle ge lite mer awkwardness. Isn't the band great? A dense wall of throbbing bass surrounded us, thickening the night air and making me feel unusually needy in a sexual way. What? My date shouted the word at me. He had to in order to be heard over the noise of the Swedish band that was playing. There. I eyed him. I'd only known Terrin for a few days, having bumped into him while attending the traveling circus known as Goth Fair. Wait. Goth Fair. Ska det vara Gothcon? We'd both been in line to have our palms read and had struck up a conversation, ending up with me meeting him for the concert that was now underway. I said the band was great. You like it, don't you? I yelled, almost into his ear. We were bobbing along with the dense crowd of people, not exactly dancing, but moving in time with the music, as if the steady, pounding drumbeat triggered a primal need to move. I was a bit worried about whether Terrin was enjoying himself. Not because he looked old. He appeared to be around my age, in his mid-30s, but because he gave off a vibe that I couldn't help but classify as accountant. He was the personification of the word nice. Everything about him was mildly pleasant. His brown eyes were innocuous. His voice had absolutely no accent. His brown hair was cut short, but not super short, and his face was indistinguishable from 1,000 other men. He looked like a perfect, respectable, ordinary, white bread kind of guy, whereas I was anything but white bread, at least ethnically speaking. It's quite effective, isn't it? He answered, at the same volume as my question. Effective? I bellowed back. The glamour, I mean. Even back here, at the fringe of the crowd, it's very potent. I stared at him. What the hell was he talking about? Maybe I'd made a mistake agreeing to a date, but I had figured that a public location like the Goth Fair was safe enough. I must have misheard. I've never heard the band before, and my family has lived in this area since I was a little kid. But they're good. Different. The music makes me feel... I stopped. Not only because my throat was starting to hurt from shouting everything, but also because I hesitated to admit the odd feeling that had come over me. Terran might be giving off the vibe of being just an ordinary guy, but I wasn't about to risk saying something that could have very bad consequences. Horny? He asked. Out of fucking nowhere. Oh. Still bopping along to the music. My eyes widened. Could he tell that I was suddenly possessed with a desire to kiss him? To touch him? To feel his skin on mine? Desperately, I shoved down those thoughts. Terran may well be a nice guy, but that didn't mean I should be thinking about him touching me, and vice versa. That's alright, he yelled, putting an arm around me and pulling me against his body. He smiled, his eyes not expressing anything but friendly interest. So, trust me, they seemed to say. I'm a clean accountant. There's no reason to be embarrassed. It's not as if you could resist the urge. I leaned into him for a moment, breathing in the smell of soap, shampoo, and nice man. My inner hussy swooned at the feel of him and the clean smell that surrounded him. But my brain pointed out that there was nothing so special about him that warranted his last comment. Yeah. With more strength than I had thought possible, I pushed away from him. He didn't look offended. Thankfully, he just gave me a bland smile and took my hand. We listened to the band until the song ended, at which point he suggested that we see the rest of the fair. I've seen most of it already, I told him when we left the big tent. It was located at one end of the U-shaped arrangement of vendor and attraction booths that constituted Goth Fair proper. I pointed to the sign that hung off the entrance of the tent. I saw the main magic act earlier today and herregud, it was amazing. Have you seen the magician? It's a father and son act, and they do this trick with eggs that gave me goosebumps. Herregud? Terrin's brows pulled together in a little puzzled frown. Sorry, it's a Swedish colloquialism? Not a word I know. It's kind of on par with holy cats or oh my god, or something like that. I thought you were American, Terran asked, his hand still holding mine as we strolled down the main aisle of the fair. There were a few people out still, visiting the various booths to have their fortunes told, palms read, or any of the other fun, creepy things that the fair people offered up. I am. Mom is from Ireland, and my dad is from Senegal. He met my mom while he was in New York City, studying to be an architect. She was playing the harp in Central Park. He stopped to watch her and said he fell in love with her right on the spot. I stopped talking, wondering why on earth I was telling him so much about my family. How did you end up here? He asked, waving a hand around that I took to mean Sweden, rather than the Goth Fair itself. Dad got a job with IKEA, and no, I don't know how to put furniture together. I'm all thumbs when it comes to things like that. IKEA av allt det här. Sexy setting. He held up my hand and pretended to admire it. Your fingers look perfectly fine to me. So what would you like to do? We've already had our palms read. Have you been to the personal time travel advisor? I'm told she's very good. I looked at the booth he pointed to. Not really my thing. I'm perfectly content with the here and now. Ah, a traditionalist. Let's see... piercings? We both looked at the body piercing booth, then looked at each other. No piercings. Oh, no piercings, Terrian said with a pinched look about his mouth. I laughed. Yeah, I'm not into pain or stabbing bits of things through my body parts. It was all I could do to get my ears pierced when I was 16. Terrian stopped in front of our red and black painted booth. There's to be a demonology demonstration in half an hour. That might be interesting. Demons? I said, making a little face at the booth and moving forward. I can take him or leave him. Really? He looked mildly surprised. You have depths, my dear. Positively unplumbed depths. Yeah, we Irish Senegalese Americans living in Sweden are often deep. What's that? I pointed to a sign with a camera. We stopped in front of the booth in question so I could read the text. What's a soul photograph? I assume it's a euphemism for an aura photo, but I could be mistaken. Oh, I think I read about those somewhere. A picture together might be fun, don't you think? I swung our hands and gave him a winning smile. Then suddenly worried that he might think I believed in auras. Not that they're real. The photographs? No, auras. He handed over some money to the bored teenager who was manning the front of the booth and held up 2 fingers to indicate we wanted a photo together. I'm a bit surprised that you want a photo then. Oh boy, did he just put my foot in my mouth? I gazed at him in consternation. He didn't look offended or angry, but then I wasn't sure someone with his calm, unemotional personality type got upset about things. You believe auras are real, don't you? It's difficult to dismiss something that you've seen, yes. He held aside a long black curtain so I could enter the tent. Ahead of us stood an old-fashioned camera on a tripod. The kind with huge bellows and a large square glass plates. Just like something out of a silent movie. A woman was seated on a low bench having her photo taken. The photographer, a bald little man with a fringe of carroty red hair and an elaborate curled mustache, was behind the camera, telling her to think happy thoughts. We moved to a couple of chairs that had been placed to form a makeshift waiting area. You've really seen an aura? I asked Terrian in a low voice. He nodded. In photographs, yes. I don't have the ability to see them with the naked eye, unfortunately. Oh, I relaxed, feeling much better. I tried to pick out judicious words. I read an article on a skeptical website that talk about how people make those, you know? Evidently, there are some things you can do before the film is developed to make pretty halo effects appear around people's heads and whatnot. And of course, digital images are super easy to mess with. His eyebrows lifted slightly, just enough that told me he was disconcerted by the fact that I was dissing his aura photos. I hurried to try to smooth things over. There was no need to ruin the evening by being a big old party-pooping skeptic. Lots of people are taken in by them, even experts. And I suppose they don't really do any harm, do they? It's just a picture, after all. It is... it is that. He was silent for a moment, still watching me with those eyes that expressed mild interest. Nu börjar orden ploppa eget här. Jag skriver snart det här själv. I find it curious that you desire to visit the Goth Fair, since you don't particularly believe in things like auras. Are you kidding? I gave a jaded laugh that tried to nip in the bud before it got away from me. We're not exactly in the hotbed of fascinating life here in northern Sweden. Hey! Ska du inte snacka skit om Sverige, va? Du har ju uppenbarligen funnit väldigt mycket fascinerande. The nearest big city is hours away by train, and there isn't a whole lot that's interesting to do or see except rivers and snow and fishing and that sort of thing. And most of the year it's too freaking cold to do anything but huddle around the fireplace with a stack of books and a bottle of brandy. So when Rowan, he's my brother, told me that a fair was coming this far north, I leaped at the chance to see it. I've been here every one of their 3 days. Ah, I see the attraction of the fair then. The photographer waved us forward, took the slip that Terran had been given, and told us to arrange ourselves on the bench in whatever manner we liked. We sat somewhat stiffly side by side while the photographer fussed with extracting a plate and inserting another. It's not that I don't appreciate other people's beliefs and such, I told Terran. It takes all kinds to make the world go, and I'm certainly not going to bash someone if they really believe that such things as demons existed, or time travel, or auras. I mean, it's kind of a suspension of disbelief, isn't it? Like when you're watching a movie and people suddenly burst into song with a full orchestra that isn't there. You just go with the flow and believe it in order to have fun. The photographer told us to angle ourselves slightly toward each other, then to turn and look at the camera. That seems to be a sensible attitude to have, Terran agreed. Hold that for 7 seconds, the photographer said, and disappeared under the black cape that hung off the camera. But you think I'm wrong? I asked without moving my lips from the smile I'd presented to the camera. Not so much wrong as perhaps imperceptive. There was a click from the camera, and the photographer emerged. He got out another large glass square plate and swapped it into the camera. I turned my head to look at the Terran. Imperceptive? So you believe all the stuff here at Goth Fair is real? Yes. He didn't look at all disconcerted by admitting that. His face held the same placid, pleasant expression as it had all evening. Hold the pose, please. Välkommen, Birgitta. We held our pose. I waited until the photographer emerged a second time from the depths of the camera cape, and rose when he told us that the photos would be ready in 15 minutes. We exited the booth just as an older couple entered. So you believe in that? I asked, pointing at the booth next to us. Scrying? Of course. Have you ever had someone scry for you? It's fascinating. Truly fascinating. I didn't even know what it was until the first day here, and then I had to ask the lady who does it. It's a shame the booth is closed, or I'd treat you to a session. We strolled along the one long arm of the fair. I noticed that Terrin didn't take my hand again, and damned myself for questioning him about his beliefs. And yet, damn it, I was trying to decide if I wanted to pursue a relationship with him, and in order to do that, I had to know if we were going to be compatible, which is why I nodded to the booth across the broad center aisle and asked, "That doesn't strike you as just a wee bit too Harry Potter?" "The spells and charms booth, you mean?" He gave it due consideration. "I see where you might think so, but I blame popular culture for that more than the woman who runs that stall selling tangible forms of magic." Yeah. I had many other things to say, but kept them behind my teeth. "The proof is all around you, my dear. If only you chose to see it. For instance," he gestured toward something behind me. I turned to see a tall man with shoulder-length black hair striding across the open space of the center aisle, obviously heading for the parking area. Next to him was another man, also dark-haired, who kept glancing around as if I was looking for someone. Dragons. I stopped admiring the way the first man filled out his black jeans and turned back to Terrin with an obvious gawk plastered all over my face. "What about them?" "Those two men," Terrin said, gesturing again toward the two men in black. "They are dragons. Black dragons, I'd say, although they could be Ouroboros. I'm afraid I'm not terribly up to date on the happenings within the Veir since it was destroyed." "And Veir is?" "The collective group of dragon septs." Of course it is. So you're saying... Oh. Massa slem. That's lite länge här. I stopped, shook my head, then pointed at the two men in question as they disappeared behind the booths. "You're saying those guys, those two perfectly normal-looking guys, are dragons? The big scaly wings and tail and eats medieval virgins dragons?" "I'm sure the virgin sacrifices stopped a long time ago," he said gently. "But to answer your question, yes, they are dragons." "They look like men," I couldn't help but point out. "If you had the choice of appearing in dragon form or that of a human, which would you choose?" Drakform? Duh. Jag skulle inte göra det liksom, hallå. He had me there. Point taken. Nej! Ingen point taken! Det är ju helt tvärt emot. Vad fan? Ja. So you see, there is more to be seen than what's on the surface. The same can be said for auras. "Oh, come on," I said, unable to keep the words from escaping my mouth. It was pretty clear to me that he wasn't going to be boyfriend material. He had the right to believe what he wanted, of course, but I could see that there would be countless arguments and debates about the differences in our their respective points of view. Alltså, om katter är rädda för drakar, alltså, det får man ju jobba förbi. Så är det ju bara. Menar, det finns liksom inget val där. Jag hade hoppats på att få den här i bild, men det var så lämpligt med lilla draken här bak. Men jag har inte den bästa kamerasetappen, så det fick vara. Jag ser vart var jag. He had the right to believe what he wanted, of course, but I could see that there would be countless arguments and debates about the differences in our respective points of view. Opposites may attract, but that didn't mean they could live together in harmony. His eyes twinkled at me. Positively twinkled at me when he dug into his jeans pocket before holding out his hand, palm up. Lying on it was a gold and beigey white object. Still don't believe me, Perhaps I can change that. Would you like to see some magic, Afi? Real magic? Nu blir det spännande. I looked from the ring that lay on his hand and back to his eyes. The latter were still full of amusement. You have a magic ring? Disbelief fairly dripped off the words. I do, in fact. I have no doubt that this very ring that has drawn the pair of dragons to the area. You may touch it if you like. It won't harm you. Since it was remade, it has developed what, for lack of better words, might be described as a mind of its own. It cannot be used if it does not wish the user to do so, and thus far has shown affinity with very few people. Its original creator was one, and the woman who reformed it is another, but she has no wish to use it and turned it over to me for safekeeping. I've been trying to find out if it is simply inactive or choosy about who it reacts to. I took the ring, of course. I like jewelry, and it looked old and worn, and I wanted to get a good close look at it. But I really didn't expect anything magical to happen the second I touched it. And nothing did. I guess I won't be joining those two special people, I said, running my fingers around the outside of the ring. It appeared to be made of ivory, or something like that, with the outer edges bound in gold. There was nothing inscribed on it, and no design scratched into the ivory, but it still felt nice in my hand. Wouldn't the person who created it want it back? The originator? A fleeting expression of amusement passed over Terran's face. I'm quite sure he would give much to have it in his possession again, but that would not be at all wise. Oh? I slid the ring onto my finger and admired it. He's not a giant orange eyeball, is he? Nothing so dramatic to look at, Terran said with a little laugh, glancing over my shoulder when behind me someone gave a little screech. It was impossible to tell if it was just some kids being kids or someone who just discovered what a Prince Albert was. What? Given that the piercing tent was down that way, I thought nothing of it. but nonetheless extremely dangerous. Wait, what? Det var... Wow. Väldigt osmidigt skrivet här. So, nothing so dramatic to look at. But nonetheless extremely dangerous. So why do those two men who you think are dragons want it if it's so bad? The ring is not bad in itself. It's the user who dictates whether it is used for good or evil. And all the dragons, not just those of the Black Sept, have sought the ring since the Veil was destroyed. But that is a long story. Too long to tell you now. Jag vet inte, vill jag bildgoogla vad en prins Albert är? Jag får komma tillbaka till det sen, tror jag. I held out my hand and looked at it. Since I didn't disappear when I put the ring on, I don't quite see what's magical about it. He chuckled. It's not a Tolkien sort of ring. Its magic is unique. That is, it's unique to whoever wields it, and whatever the ring wishes to be used for. I looked at the ring, half expecting a wee pair of eyes to look back at me. Wow, that's weird. As I said, it's unique. It's pretty tough. I just hope, I said, starting to pull the ring off. This isn't one of those bad kinds of ivory like from an elephant or something. I'm a firm believer in karma, and I don't want to think what sort of horrible thing will happen to me because I admired a dead elephant ring. Ivory? Oh no, it's horn. That twinkle was back for a moment. Unicorn horn, as a matter of fact. No! And I can assure you that the unicorn in question donated her horn for the purpose of reinforcing it. Ja, men det var ju tur. Right. I drawled and removed the ring. I was just about to hand it back to him when a blood-chilling scream ripped high into the night air, so loud we could hear it clearly over the throb of music. Kapitel 1. Wow. Ja. Vad säger man? Det är ju helt klart en inledning. It's weird. Inte så farligt som jag trodde det skulle vara än så länge. Men det är bara första kapitlet också. I don't know. Men... Men om ni vill så kan vi fortsätta. Men behöver en liten paus. Jag är ganska torr. Men en liten paus och sen... Oj. Wow. Det här var ett kort kapitel. Det var ett jättekort kapitel. Ja, men jag tror det i alla fall. En liten paus. Så kommer vi tillbaka om en liten stund. Så fortsätter vi. Men räkna med ungefär 10 minuter. Okej? Så hinner ni ta av er ytterkläderna och grejer. Det där är inget bokmärke. Det här funkar inte så bra. Men ja, vill ni ha mer så ses vi då. There is the button.